Well, that's because I went behind his back and had a dog!
Hi, Ray.
She had a dog!
Ray? We're trying to focus here, come on. Hello and welcome back to the Writing Inquisition. I'm Carol Benton.
I'm EmRose Lee.
And you may have noticed something a little bit different in that Marie is not here. Unfortunately, it's literally the only day that her engagement photo person could actually, like, meet up with her, so slightly more important.
I ate her.
Sure. And this time we are going to do something a little bit different. It's not going to be, here's a topic and we talk at you and at each other and blah, 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 blah. This time we are going to give you a little peek into how far we've come as writers ourselves. So we're going to start by reading each other's old pieces, which EmRose is really not looking forward to. And the reason that we're having the other person do it is because on New Year's Eve, yeah, how did we even get onto the topic of me just randomly reading some of my old writing out? Because we were in that, like, weird
Weren't you
zone.
showing me, you were showing me fan art, not fan art, but your friend, your old writing buddy who did art for you, and then you were like, oh my god.
Oh my god, I have to show you some of my old crap. And I read the entirety of this project that I had written in, I think, my sophomore year of high school? Yeah, I think it was sophomore year because I had bio first. Yeah, I think that was it. It was so bad! Oh my god, it was terrible! And I read it out loud and you just kept like, keep going, keep going, keep going! And
I still want to know what happens.
I don't remember. I don't remember what I had planned! Because it wasn't the Regal by Blood stuff, it was something completely different. And it was...
Wasn't he a troll? Was he a troll?
No, he was gonna marry a troll.
Oh.
I don't remember what.
I
don't know! I never said what he was. It was so
a normal human.
Oh, it was so bad. But yeah, so we did that, and then Marie joined us the next day, because of course she has her fiance, so she went and did New Year's Eve and stuff with her family and everything, and then us Goyles spent New Year's Day together, and I don't know what accent I'm doing right now. Or why my hands are like this. And we told her about how we had spent the previous evening, and so we got onto that topic, and I brought the idea of doing this up, and
Here we are.
Here we are, yeah. So, if you would like to intro the piece that I will be reading.
Okay, so this was written, we thought in 2015, according to my computer, but I was like, I don't think so, because I don't remember writing this in 2015.
Like, that's too recent.
Yeah. But it's 2017, so I was probably like a junior or a senior, because I turned 18 the day I graduated high school.
Nice.
And so it was 2012, and I think I was just in school. I loved to write, so I was still just writing this crap, and I don't know what else I was doing in my life. That's kind of a scary thought, but that's what I was doing. This is called Cambion, because I just saw the term and thought it was cool that it was a demon, the offspring of a demon and a human or something, and Merlin from, like, the Round Table mythology was that, and I was like, oh, that's neat.
That's so sick!
That's so sick! I'm just gonna totally appropriate this into my own story. And all I remember is there was, like, circuses, because I was really into circuses. And I don't know what happens in it. Here you go.
Well, we're about to find out.
Yeah.
Prologue. The baby wasn't breathing. The blankets it was wrapped in were actually winding sheets. Gray like the sky. Costello picked the baby up and cradled it to his chest. The road was deserted. Wind and snow covered most of the road, coating it with ice. Oh my god. But there was nobody there. The baby shifted in the sheets, little fingers reaching and grasping Costello's shirt. Its eyes remained shut, and no breath blew from its lips.
Wait, if it's grasping it, isn't it not dead?
You literally just said!
What is this?
Oh, no! Costello put his hands over the little chest and felt no heartbeat.
Oh, okay.
But it was undoubtedly alive. Costello had heard of things like this happening, demons taking the form of babies, changelings, but he couldn't just leave a baby here. And with that, Costello carried the child to his home. He named her, for the baby was a girl, Arcane.
I like how he checks by just being like, okay,
Yeah.
you're cool.
He had no idea how she could have no heartbeat and no breathe.
That's one of my pet peeves now.
Yes,
I will
that
just
drives
say
me
that.
absolutely
that
insane.
drives me crazy, and now I used it.
Okay, so going back to the start of that sentence. He had no idea how she could have no heartbeat and breathe. Maybe that works? But still live, so it seemed to fit her. He kept her hidden in the back of his caravan while he performed with the animals and afterward took care of her. She gladly drank goat's milk and other animals didn't seem to mind her. When she was 7, she took her first breath.
I
Dun,
don't
dun, dun.
I don't think babies should be drinking goat's milk.
Well, assuming that he doesn't just magically have a wet nurse, then he doesn't really have a choice.
I guess so, and she is a weird thing. I don't know.
Chapter 1. Oh my god.
I don't want to know.
Arcane laughed and stroked Fuzzy's ears. Who the fuck is Fuzzy?
I don't know. Why did I do Fuzzy?
Oh, here it is. The lion. Who the fuck names a lion Fuzzy?
Why did I do that?
I don't know. The lion purred and lay beside her, milky eyes staring blankly ahead. Arcane leaned against the caravan.
Is it blind?
I guess?
Is that why?
I mean, it at least has cataracts or something.
Yeah.
Arcane! Costello walked into their camp, a boa constrictor draped across his shoulders. Super sexy. This one isn't doing too well again. Mind treating him? Arcane kissed Fuzzy's mane and stood, carefully pulling the sluggish snake off her father's shoulders. He should be alright now. Just by... What?
She didn't even do anything.
She literally just took him! She put the snake in his cage, pushing aside the scarves and coins that littered the floor with her foot. Arcane stroked the snake's back and only stopped once the snake's breathing stilled. Costello stood behind his daughter, placing a calloused hand on her shoulder. He'll be at peace now, he said, and very bad punctuation
Yeah,
there.
which is, I know now. But I didn't do the comma thing.
No, that's what I'm saying!
Oh, no, I did, yeah.
No, you did the period and capital dialogue.
Yeah. I did. But at the end here, that's a period.
Yes.
So that's good.
Arcane nodded, carefully keeping her face hidden as she stood. Costello wrapped an arm around his daughter and stroked her tangled hair. Go lie with Fuzzy, I'll take care of him. Who the fuck names a lion Fuzzy? I can't deal with it.
Be having a lion, this doesn't make any sense.
Arcane kissed her father's wrinkled cheek and walked back to the blind lion. Yep.
So it is blind.
You called it.
That's good.
You should have called it. Burying her fingers in his soft fur. Costello walked out half an hour later. He rested a hand on his daughter's head. More firewood. Arcane raised her swollen eyes and nodded. She kissed her father's cheek, put on her good boots, and walked into the surrounding woods. She would never see him again.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun! And we're already at chapter 2. So I'm gonna keep going for a little bit.
Oh no.
Well, dude, mine's 6 pages long.
No, keep going. I'm just like,
Chapter 2. The fire was swift. Okay. Arcane hadn't been gone more than 5 minutes and already everything was destroyed. Everything. Except her animals.
Why except for the animals?
Right? Her and her father's campsite was crawling with people. People dressed in feathers and fur and lace and leather. That sounds like a kink show. Okay. They didn't look like bandits, you're damn right, they didn't look like bandits. Costello's body was near the fireplace. Hold up. First of all, a fireplace is only in a house or residence.
Yeah, why did I guess I meant fire pit.
I would assume so. Second of all, Whoever built the fire was a fucking idiot if they didn't actually get...
No, I think that people burned everything.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Which
Okay.
I only know that because I vaguely remember this story. Not because of the writing.
Okay, so then, Costello's body was near the fireplace, his throat now a red river.
Nobody cares.
No. There hasn't been enough character development to care.
Nobody cares.
She couldn't breathe. She vomited in a bush and sat down.
Why?
The bandits hadn't seen her yet. They were still busy loading her father's animals into cages. A couple of bandits were rifling through the remains of the caravan, pocketing coins and knives and whatever seemed useful. Also, you said they didn't look like bandits!
I know, that's what I was gonna
but
say.
you're referring to them as bandits!
Yeah! That doesn't make any sense.
Don't move! A hand clamped over Arcane's mouth. Another gripped her wrists and twisted them behind her back. That's big hands.
Yeah. Like...
Arcane tried to twist away, but his grip was strong. Arcane froze from the shock. Okay. There had never been a grip she couldn't break. Nobody could hold her. This man, for it was a male speaking, wasn't human.
All those hands are shaking.
Yeah, like how many hands does this guy have? I'm going to uncover your mouth. If you scream, or if they hear you, we're both dead, understand? Arcane nodded, but bit his hand for good measure.
I guess he doesn't care.
And he responds with good!
He does not give a shit.
No! Good. He let go and put his hand around her wrists. How many hands? What's your name? Arcane. So, Arcane, do you know what's happened?
No!
Why do I keep doing that?
No, I was saying no.
There we go. Okay. You're a bunch of bandits. The stranger chuckled. You've run into Orpheus's marvelous troupe. Hardly bandits.
Well, he just killed everybody.
Right?
So...
Arcane tried again to twist away, but it was like trying to break diamonds. Fuck off! How old is Arcane by this point?
I don't know. I guess she's old enough.
Arcane, the stranger chuckled. Can't you see I'm trying to help you?
You're really...
No, I can't! Arcane didn't answer. This was all ridiculous. You want revenge, do you not? Said the stranger with a capital S on said, by the way.
Because I didn't know. Situation.
Let silence be his answer.
What?
Right? I know you do. I can feel it. And I can help you get it. Arcane tried to look over her shoulder at him, but she couldn't twist enough. Let go. I don't need your help. You do. Join the troop, gain their trust, and destroy them. I'll help.
Wait, I want to see what the note I put says.
Have her not agree to join so fast. She said, like, see how it goes first. Which makes sense, given the next line. What the hell, Arcane thought. I have nothing now. How do I join? Well, luckily... Like, right? Like,
oh, okay. That's a bad plan, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, luckily, you're in the company of the very person who decides these things. Okay, this line I agree with. Wait, you're part of them? Why would you let them... I'm not only part of one thing. Certainly not them. What the fuck does that mean?
I guess he's, like, part of their troop and a different group, so he's double-crossing them, I'm assuming?
And then I think this is a typo?
No, this is because, you know, to make a quote face the right way...
Yeah.
When it's on the dash thing...
Oh, I mean,
so
I just put
letter.
both and then backspace and type
No,
in between.
what I used to do is I'd put S or D and then just delete the
Oh, okay.
That's why that's there.
Okay. If you rat me out, The stranger turned her around. A pact, then. You promise not to tell them, and I'll promise not to tell them.
What?
I think you're missing, like, half the sentence there.
Like, you could just say something else. Not
Yeah.
that.
Arcane couldn't see him clearly in the dark. Hold up. There is a fire burning. How is it dark?
And what about, like, you haven't described, like,
You have said nothing!
what time it is.
Yeah.
Is it night?
Yeah, seriously, like, I thought it was, like, midday.
Yeah.
Like,
Apparently
what the
not.
fuck, dude? But she estimated his face was a few inches above her. Okay, you can at least see an outline of a person.
You'd be able to tell how, and that's not really pertinent information
No.
at the time, but okay.
What's the price for this? I have nothing. You will see in time. Nothing big, I promise. Now what do you say? This
That's, like,
is a red
sketchy.
flag.
Yeah.
This is sketchy as shit. Fine. He nodded and released her wrists. Now for the pact. What? You already, what?
Didn't he already let her go?
He turned her around.
Yeah,
But
he
that's, like,
should've...
super awkward.
Yeah, he
'Cause,
can
like-
still be holding her wrist.
No, because, like, straight up, like, if I'm holding your hands behind your back and then I turn you around,
Yeah.
like, I'd have
Then
to go
you
like
have to
that.
be-
It's just like, what the fuck is happening here? Stage direction is important. He took her hand. Arcane looked down and flinched. His hands were long and thin. He had unusually long nails.
Oh,
They weren't
shit.
disgusting. How? What?
He's a... I don't know what he is. I'm just...
They were
Oh.
silver, not a speck of dirt on them, which was
I-
surprising because of the ash layering the ground.
I know what he is. I remember the plot now.
This will hurt. He made a thin cut on the back of her hand. It burned faintly.
That's terrifying.
Right? He made the same cut in the same place on his own hand and pressed the
Oh,
wounds
I
together.
just did a
Okay,
like a
if you're gonna do
cheesy
that-
blood pact.
But if you're gonna do that, why do it on the back of the hand? Because that's, like, super awkward.
Yeah. Why? Just to be edgy.
Apparently. Or, like, maybe you were just super bored with cutting the palm
Yeah.
or something.
I know. I don't think I was always like, why would you do like that's the most.
I mean, it is most painful, but, like, the back of your hand is
It's-
really awkward.
it's
Like, what are you
also
gonna do? Like, pump, pump, like,
You'd
doing,
be
like,
that.
nyeh.
Friendship.
Just like an awkward, like, gang handshake or something.
I don't know what this is.
I don't know. Something tightened inside Arcane, a small tug just behind her forehead.
It's the bond.
There, if I give you away, I die, and same for you.
Well, okay.
Arcane wasn't sure if she believed him, but that tightening was strange. ... Alright. I think that's a good place to stop.
I want to read the rest. Just on my own. I don't know what happened. But the plot was like, he's like the son of a death god, and then she has to go to the underworld eventually and do something. Because it's Orpheus, because I was just
Yeah.
ripping that off. I think that was the plot.
Okay.
So.
Well, you did mention Orpheus as part of the troupe name
Yes.
for the rival circus troupe or whatever
Yes.
the fuck.
That just decided to burn everything for no reason
Yeah.
whatsoever.
So now, EmRose is going to read out a bit of a newer piece
But I still don't like
of her own. Just to demonstrate how far she's come.
I'm gonna
'Cause
skip
I think
the
we figured out
first-
that it was 2012-ish when that was originally written
Yeah,
or something.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So now, if you want to give a brief intro.
Okay, so this is the novel I'm working on now, and I don't want to read the first paragraph because I still don't like it. And the first paragraph isn't really that, like, you're not missing much. In this world, magic is really rare. That's basically what you need to know. When Farron used magic to put on a show, Tamerlane's stomach curled into knots as she wondered if this would be his last, if word of his magic would spread. She took the pristine tickets out of her coat pocket, one edge creased. This was a way out. They could go somewhere where magic ran wild, where Farron could put on show after show, without fear, and without hiding. He always held his magic shows in this clearing. From her perch in the tree, Tamerlane had a clear view of him and the children. His black wings fanned out behind him, stark against a thin layer of snow. He always looked like a stretched shadow to Tamerlane, but looking down on him, sitting and bent toward the children, he looked much smaller. Two calf boys sat at Farron's feet, each with human features, except for their delicate pink noses. To Tamerlane's surprise, an Abdon girl was there, sitting beside her mother. Her brown rings were tiny enough to be That doesn't make any sense, because how can you see them if they're under her shirt?
That's true.
The woman kept a tight hold on her daughter's hand. Besides Farron and her father, She only saw Abden Fairwind as I passed through Marilla and to the train station, which was busier than ever. I could put in, like, war. Okay.
Please hold while she makes a note.
I'm like, ah. Tamerlane was not a Fairwind. She didn't have wings or talons or a tail. Instead, she had a spray of silver dots that spilled over her cheek and down her neck. Farron rose and held his hand up, palm skyward, making the flower petals swirl like a miniature tornado. Tamerlane thought he was lucky that the children watched his hand and not his face. Even now, he scowled. He flicked his fingers. The petals shot into the air before falling to the ground. The Afton girl gave him coins and hugged his leg, and Tamerlane snorted as he awkwardly patted the top of the girl's head. Her mother picked her up, kissing her cheeks. Tamerlane's throat tightened and she dug her fingers into the bark. She slid off the branch, landing on her feet. The girl and her mother were gone by the time she reached Farron. He frowned at the two boys. "Where are your parents?" They looked at each other, then sheepishly at Farron, working. "Hurry along now, it's not safe," he said. The two boys gave him a handful of coins, then scampered back down the path toward the center of Marilla. "You're paranoid," Tamerlane said. "Queen Ronwyn isn't here yet." Farron's scowl deepened. "You shouldn't be out here." He picked up his black coat. Folding his wings against his back, he drew the coat over them and buttoned it up to his neck. "It's fine. It's not. I'll walk you home." She thought of her little cottage, and Bryn, her father, working alone in their garden. "I have something to show you." Tamerlane pulled the 3 tickets out of her pocket. "One for each of us, you, me, and Papa." Farron picked his up. "Tame, you know I'd go with you, but we can leave Marilla, find somewhere Queen Ronwyn hasn't conquered. I was thinking somewhere near the Comey Sea." Tamerlane. He slid the ticket in... There's a lot of pockets. He slid the ticket in his coat pocket. "Are you sure you want to do this? What if your mother comes back?" "She won't." Tamerlane shoved the 2... I'm just gonna skip that. "You know that." "I don't," Farron said. "Maybe she... I don't want to talk about this." "Tame, I just think if you talked... There's nothing to talk about." She left. He gripped her shoulders. "What if your father doesn't want to leave?" Farron did this every time her mother came up. He chipped and chipped at her until she couldn't take it anymore. "It's what's best for him." "No, it's what's best for you. Sometimes you can be so selfish." An owl hooted. Tamerlane watched its bird form flit from tree to tree so she wouldn't have to look at him. She knew he regretted it. She hoped she did. She hoped... I don't even know what this is. Okay. "I don't want to fight, not this time," she said, hating that her voice cracked. "Please, we always fight." Farron's fingertips grazed hers, then pulled away. He spoke again, just as softly. "Will you let me take you home?" In silence they walked through a cluster of trees, following the dirt path back to Marilla. She inhaled, pine and smoke. 2 Fairwind pushed carts of lumber up to and from the forest. A lone bird's song cut through the air. Tamerlane did not know how many Fairwind there were in the world. Marilla was mainly composed of Cath and a few Abden besides Farron. Out of all of them, she had only ever seen Farron use any magic. Tamerlane was not used to so little activity. Usually Marilla was filled with song and laughter. Of the 3 lumber mills, only one emptied smoke into the sky. Squat stone houses... I hate this whole part. Squat stone houses clustered together, a torch beside each door, ready to ignite the moment the queen arrived. She scanned the towering... No, I'm just going to skip that because I might delete it. She scanned the towering trees for a glimpse of the council's soldiers, but she saw none. She knew they were there, though. That's awkward. The council still had control over their province. They'd stationed soldiers ever since Queen Ronwyn decided she'd rather rule... Okay, this is working too. Rule without the council is what I'm trying to say. But I haven't worked that part out yet. Should I keep going?
If you want to.
Not really. I hate this whole part. Okay. It is better than what we read before. But I'm still mad about it.
Yeah. So you'll notice that EmRose's writing has improved a lot.
I hope.
Simply by virtue of the fact that we're not pausing every second and go, what the fuck?
Yeah. That too.
And, like, the only times that I at least, like, smirked or snickered or anything, it was intentional. Like, you were trying to go for that.
Oh, good.
So...
That's good.
Like, the awkward pat on the little girl's head, I'm just like...
I like making Farron awkward. That's, like, the best part.
Yeah. So, you know, it's only been, what, 5-6 years? Something like that?
Yeah.
6 years, because it's 2018 now.
Yeah, 6 years now.
So even just in that short of a time, you already, like, super improved as a writer, despite the fact that you still have very low self-esteem about your writing.
Yes. Well, I'm really frustrated because first chapters are so hard, and all that some of that stuff is newer because my teacher was like, oh, you could explain more about the world and about everything, but...
And it is an active project and all of that,
so...
That's still sort of in, like, the rough draft phase.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect yet, but it's still...
Better than 6 years ago?
Yeah. Just a tiny bit.
Don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so, like, whatever you've done in the meantime and however much I've poked you over the past couple of years, I'm like, hey, fix it! Improvement has happened!
Yes. Yay! Should I go into specifics, or do you want to read your stuff first?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay, I just want to say, I think I still have some issues with, like, spaces, but I'm working on it. And...
No, when you say, like, issues with spaces, do you mean, like, the setting?
Yeah, like, well, like, people will I'll have, like, a scene, and then I'll read it over, and I'm like, oh, it feels like they're just floating in a bubble, because I haven't described... I've, like, described the room, but I'm like, he said
But they're not moving through the room,
yeah.
they're not interacting with it.
Yeah, or, like, the setting just will fade into the background when I'm like, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So...
You're wanting a little bit more vivid.
Yeah.
A setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, to be fair, that's something that I'm still working on, too.
Oh, yeah, I was like, describe this.
Where are they?
Where are they?
Yeah. But, I mean, we're human, we're doing this podcast so that we can pass on what knowledge we have, but we're not sitting here trying to go, like, we know everything, and you know nothing. Because anybody who's watching this has some level of knowledge, and whether that's past where we're talking about or not quite at the same level as we're talking about or what have you, it's a group learning experience, let's put it that way. So, and now it's my turn to be humiliated. Yay! So, because my first book is out, I thought it would be kind of interesting to look at the way the first draft started. And some of the names are still the same, others are really, really not. There's characters who don't exist, there's characters who do exist or have been combined or whatever. Anyway, so this I wrote in like 2014 or 2015, so I was about 14 or 15 years old. I was a freshman or sophomore in high school. I honestly can't remember because this was way long ago. At the time I was a competitive fencer, so I would be traveling like once a month to go and compete nationally and all that, which was so much fun and so painful. And I would typically use the time on the plane to write. This is, again, from the first draft of what is now Regal by Blood, with the absurd title of That's Not the Way a Princess Should Act.
I had one of those too. I had one that was like the princess that doesn't live happily ever after or something like that.
That's kind of awesome though.
And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's so pretentious. Okay. I'm excited.
I'm not. I'm really not.
I'm so excited. I love reading people. Okay. Memories flashed through my mind as I stared out the window into the wet night. I like wet night. Props.
That's one.
Teenage Emma would be like, yes. I heard the pitter-patter of the rain hit the window and watched it run down the windows of the dining hall, now blissfully silent and empty. I imagined how things had been 16 years before when I had been 18. Wait. So is she like 30? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine. Before when I had been 18, going on 19, and sitting in a crowded hall filled with suitors to come tame me at this castle. I watched for the lantern to come out of the forest, signaling that Sabra, Lyris, and Kumi had gotten Katerina home safely. Is Katerina Kalara?
No, Katerina's Kalara's daughter.
Oh, okay. I smiled at the fond memories that had been made on my journey all those years ago. The sound of rain hitting the window was suddenly interrupted by the stomping of tiny feet as my son came sprinting into the room. "Mommy!" he yelled, running up to me. "Mommy!" he said again as I picked him up. chill out, child.
He's like 6, okay? 6-year-olds have no chill.
Hello, sweetie, I said, hugging him close to me. My daughter, Katerina, sauntering... Oh, they're home, that's right.
Yeah.
My daughter, Katerina, sauntering up to me.
Not that I was that clear about it.
Well, it's like, fine. What's going on?
It's like, and they're in a bubble.
Yeah. Hey, Mom, she said, smiling. Hey, how are your lessons with Xeris, Sabra, and Kumi? I asked. Look, you missed your comment.
I know.
The bowstring caught my arm. Plus, the target was frozen, much like my fingers are now. She grinned and bent her fingers. She winced. Mommy? Yes, Alan, I asked, looking at my son again.
Okay, pause. So, this was a good, 15 years before Marie came up with her pen name. So, that was not intentional at all. It just happened that way.
Why do you want Rini to get fighting and weapon lessons from Lyris, Sabra, and Kumi? Who's talking? Oh, I guess the little boy is.
Yeah.
Okay. I smiled at my little boy. Minerva was talking. King, no girls are allowed to use weapons. You know how Mommy is famous throughout the kingdom. Alan nodded with wide eyes and a wider mouth. Sorry. That's the image I had in my head.
That makes no sense.
Laughing. Well, that's because I went behind his back and had a dog.
Hi, Ray.
She had a dog.
Right? We're trying to focus here. Come on.
She had a dog.
Ah!
I love this.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
Well, that's because I went behind his back and had, I think that means an old friend, not and old friend.
Yeah.
Teach me how to fight and shoot, I told him, tapping his nose lightly. That's not what you told me, Mom, Katerina said, confused at the thought that I hadn't told her the whole truth. Well, Katerina, basically, the fact that I was so rebellious is the cause of me meeting your father, I told her. What, how, what happened? Katerina asked eagerly. I'm not sure you're old enough for that story, Rena, Tarek said from the... my favorite! Daddy, Alan said, pushing me and signaling that it was... Oh, I thought she, pushing me and signaling that it was time to put him down so that he could hug his father. Tarek crouched, blah, 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 and caught him. Whoa, is it like a kinky story? Is that why she's not old enough?
No.
I'm just joking.
Not really.
See, this I was like, I want to know what the lantern is. Like, are they running? I thought she was captured.
No.
So, no.
Nothing that interesting.
Hey, kiddo, isn't it past your bedtime, he asked. But I want to hear the story, Alan whined. Oh my God, Alan. Smack you one. Now I know that you're too young for this story. Tarek swung Alan up into the air, catching him in his strong arms. Come on, let's get you into bed, young man, he said, smiling at Alan. I'll be back down in a few minutes, he informed me, staring down the corridor.
Starting down the corridor.
Oh, starting? I was like, what's in the corridor? Is there a snake?
Okay, Lystexia!
Daddy, I want to hear the story, Alan said after a few moments. Tarek simply laughed and continued down the path. What an asshole. Alan drew. Mom, how did you meet Dad? Katerina asked me once she knew her brother was out of earshot. That's not a story before bed, sweetheart. Besides, it's too long to tell, and you've got magic lessons with Simbala or Kimbala and Kalian tomorrow. You know that you need good sleep before then. Go to bed. I pointed at the hallway that Tarek and Alan had just left through. But Mom, I'm 14. Besides, I could get out of the lesson tomorrow or reschedule it or something. Please tell me. I looked at her while she begged. Okay. Kalian and Simbala would be very disappointed in you. Their wisdom would really help wise you up before your 16th birthday. You know that you're eligible for marriage when that comes, and you're almost 15. Why don't I just tell you after your lesson, or the day after tomorrow when you don't have anything planned? Or at least not to my knowledge. I watched her intently. Don't worry, Mom. I don't have a thing planned for today. For the day.
I know. It's so bad.
But why?
It's so bad.
Okay. For day after tomorrow, Katerina said, smiling at the thought of knowing how her parents had met. I smiled too. Remember the first time I had met Tarek. I like the frame story. Mom, you promised me... Oh, okay. I thought we were going to dive in.
Nope.
Nope.
This is still prologue.
Mom, you promised me that you'd tell me the story today, Katerina said, coming up to me at breakfast. Yes, I know, Rena. I'll tell you later, I said. I was quite busy trying to delegate with the new ruler of Ceridium, the kingdom to the south. We were trying to figure out how we could convince people that the half-elf ex-prince was gone. Ooh, what happened to the half-elf ex-prince?
That's Brander.
Oh. He's an asshole. Never mind. Mom! Katerina was extremely frustrated that I promised to tell her how her father and I had met and why I was so very today, but I was busy with something else. She needs to get the hint.
I know, right?
Rena, I'm very busy. I know that I promised to tell you about everything today, but this is bound to take a while. I will tell you after lunch. Katerina looked at me as if she was disappointed in me. I'm not breaking my promise, Rena. I'm just very busy. I promise that I'll tell you after lunch, but this is very important and it has first priority, okay? I like that okay is capitalized.
Right? It doesn't need to be capitalized at all.
Fine, but after lunch you get no excuses. You have to tell me exactly what happened right after lunch, she said, standing up. Well, it looks like I've got some time to kill, so I'm gonna go find Danny. Savage! I nodded and gave her a quick kiss on the cheek before she ran off. I turned back to my current task. Sorry about that, Josh. Why, Josh?
I don't know!
I love that his name is Josh.
It's so out of place.
Okay. My daughter wants to know about the stuff that led to this meeting. Where did Josh come from? You did not mention Josh.
I did. He was the person that I was trying to delegate with. That's totally the wrong word.
Oh, I thought she was like writing a letter.
No.
To the new rule. Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry about that, Josh. My daughter wants to know about the stuff that led to this meeting, I said. Not to worry, Your Majesty. From what I've heard, your tale is quite an interesting one. I looked back down at my plate. Oh, she can tell him? Well, I don't think that interesting is the word to use. If you'd known exactly what happened that year, you'd understand why I don't talk about it much, I said, hoping that Josh wouldn't push the subject further. We need to get back to figuring out how to get people to believe that Rajani is gone. Indeed we do. Well, he just ignored her. Okay. I didn't leave the dining hall all morning. Josh and I...
I know, it's such a bad name for this purpose.
And I had no idea.
So bad.
That seemed effective enough to make people reassured that Rajani, the half-elf prince, would never reign again. I like that they have to, like, convince people. Like, listen, guys. At around 11, waiters and waitresses started coming around and setting... Waiters and waitresses.
I know. It makes no sense. Moving on.
Started coming around and setting places for lunch. Half an hour later, bread and butter pads were being placed on each table. Ooh, yum. When people started arriving for lunch, Josh and I decided that we would call it quits for the day and just let ideas roll around in our heads for a while. The food service smiled at me and did a short bow or curtsy as they passed, carrying trays of shepherd's pie, hot soup, and other various dishes, perfect for a cold autumn day. Katerina and Danielle burst into the hall. Is Danielle...
Danielle is Danny.
It's not Deja?
No.
Okay.
Sabra is Deja.
Oh, okay. Burst into the hall, soon followed by Sabra, Morella,
yep.
Lyris, Kumi, Ashlyn?
Aislinn.
I always pronounce it wrong. And Brent. I was happy to see that Rena and Danny got along so well, since Danny's mother, Aislinn, had been my... Oh, okay. I thought she was, like, dead, so I got really confused. Aislinn had been my best friend for decades. I rose and greeted my friends. Danny and Rena.
Daddy.
Danny and Rena sat down and started eating while I talked to the family friends. Okay.
We're almost there, I promise.
I want to get to the actual...
I'll send you the link that has the entire first draft.
Good. How are things going with Rena lately? Sabra asked, glancing over my shoulder at my daughter. She started asking about that journey, I replied. Oh, that journey. Are you planning on telling her? Brent asked, his arm around his wife. Aislinn was hugging him back. I kind of promised her that I would, after lunch actually. Want to stick around and help me tell it? I don't know some of it, being dead or kidnapped for a while, I said, laughing slightly. Kumi looked at me, then at Rena, then back to me. The way you two are, count me out, he said. I'll help. Lyris interjected, giggling at Kumi's response. One of her weapon masters should try to explain that stuff her mother can't.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah. We've got some good memories. She just really needs a detailed explanation. We've got some good memories of that trip. I guess will help. Besides, Danny has been bugging us to tell her how we met and why her mother is so famous when she's not an entertainer of some kind. Brent smiled down at Aislinn, who smiled back. Good. Now all I need to do is make sure that Tarek can help us avoid bringing Alan in to hear the story. It's a pity that Kalian and Sim can't make it, though, I said reflectively. They'd be very good with visual aid. I started to laugh, my friends following suit very quickly. What does that mean?
Dude, I don't fucking know.
Do they draw pictures? Or, like, act it out? Okay.
Okay, so just to, like, make it a little less confusing for you, Kalian is, oh, fuck, what the hell is his name?
You say and then I won't remember.
Marilla's father.
Oh, okay.
That one. And Kamala, Samala, Kim, whatever the fuck, is Eva.
Okay.
Kira's.
Okay.
It's a little bit different now.
Danny and Rena were bound to want to know what Kamala and Kalian looked like in their animal forms. Oh, that's why visual aid. I'd asked them not to change in front of Katerina, and Aislinn decided that Danny wasn't ready for that kind of thing. Why not? The girls didn't even know about Kim.
Dude, I don't know.
Kim and Kalian being able to become a dragon and a wolf at will. Oh, cool, dragons. Why can't those two mages make it? Marilla asked, wiping tears of mirth from her eyes.
Just in case it wasn't clear that they were magic users.
Yeah, and then why is she laughing?
Right?
Oh, I guess I started to laugh. My friends following there. It's like, ah!
Which still does not explain why they're laughing.
Remember how when we met Kalian and he was on his way to meet a harpy? Why is harpy cat? Okay. Rella nodded. He never did get to that meeting, and that harpy is due for another castle check in a few days, I said, winking at her. What does that mean?
Dude, I don't...
Is she gonna bang the harpy? She winked! I just want to know.
I don't even know.
I want to understand. Okay.
It's not worth understanding.
Aislinn, Morella, Brent, and who's Taconis? He just popped up. I've never seen this dude before.
No, you have not.
He's an intruder.
Because you know that old friend that was actually an old friend that taught them how to... Yeah, he's dead.
No, but...
Yeah, I don't know why he's there.
But...
Yeah.
Okay. Shook with silent laughter. Kumi looked very confused. He's me, as we hadn't met him until later on in that journey. Okay.
Yep.
So they hadn't...
So the interjection of a dead character that has not actually been present, just randomly popping out and laughing.
Okay. We spent the rest of the lunch eating, drinking, talking, and joking. Aislinn and I were talking about how she was doing, pregnant for the second time, and how life for me was while I was trying to figure out a few things out. While I was trying to figure a few things out with Josh, run a kingdom, not get exiled from my teen's life, and take care of a 4-year-old, all at the same time. That's hard. Especially if his name's Josh. You're trying to laugh.
I know.
I love it.
Josh is a perfectly fine name. It just does not fit. At all.
Rena and Danny, who were sitting right next to us. So they heard your whole conversation?
I don't know, they were chatting.
I guess so. We're chatting about how cute one boy was and how annoying another. Lyris, Sabra, your commas, man.
I know!
Why?
I don't know. I was not as obsessive with my Oxford commas back then.
But like...
I know.
Lyris, Sabra, and Kumi were talking about what they should cover with Rena and Danny in the next lesson. Marilla was discussing why coconuts couldn't
migrate
with Brent. What is that?
I don't know.
That's like my favorite line ever.
It's just there. It does not need to be there. It does not
like he can't
further the story.
He can't bring in like confiscated goods. Like, you can't bring food.
I think my intention was like calling back to like that Monty Python and the Holy Grail, I think, with the
Oh.
and that whole conversation about like how coconuts can't migrate.
That's such a weird. Okay.
I know, it does not need to be there at all. I don't know why it's there.
Just like mine. I love that. How far are you in the pregnancy? Again, I asked Aislinn, patting her stomach like this, like. Just a couple months in, Brent is being his overprotective self when we're in public again.
And that should be hyphenated.
Starting to get annoying, though. She replied, "Poor Brent," reaching for one of the rolls and looking out at the small, round tables that littered the dining hall. There was a far-off look in Aislinn's eyes when she next spoke. "Things have changed so much since we were 19. There used to be a giant dome of..." I thought that said babies. "There used to be a giant dome of tables in here instead of this. We weren't supposed to know how to fight. Everything's changed." She looked back at me. "It's all become better, ever since you took power. The people have been happier, and they're more loyal to you than they were to your father." Aislinn smiled. "Thanks, Aislinn. It means a lot that you say that," I replied, giving her a hug. "But they're still at the table, so she's
It's
like..."
so cringy!
It's like me.
Also, like, she's only a couple of months into the pregnancy, so it's not even showing it, and she's like...
I know! I was gonna say, she's only a couple months, and
It's
she's
so
like...
cringy!
she's like,
It's so bad! Oh my god.
We all finished eating and walked... Oh, we don't even get to the story? Okay.
No, it's just a prologue.
We all finished eating and walked down a long corridor that led to the entrance hall. Halfway down, we turned left into a dark room. I shivered and sent for someone to start a fire. When the servants arrived, they lit the torches and started the fire. 3 bowed and left the room. The 8 of us sat around the fire, warming ourselves up in my husband's study. For a few minutes, poor Derek, he's like, what's going on? For a few minutes, all of us just watched the fire and its majestic dance. However, for me, it was a spark that brought back, memories of my journey in excruciating detail. I remembered everything, including what I wore every day. Whoa!
Yeah.
Why is her singing fire? It's magic. So,
It's
Mom,
bad writing is what it is.
Are you planning on telling us anytime soon? Rena asked me. Rena, stop. Yes, of course. I took a deep breath, looked into the flame, and started my story. It all started the night of my 19th birthday. It was one of those huge extravaganzas that my parents always insisted on throwing for me. I was trying to escape from the dance floor when one of the guests, namely Prince Rajani, the evil dude, asked me if he could have a word with me outside. Ooh! Since I just wanted to get out of the room, I accepted. Once we had gotten up to the ramparts, I waited for him to talk. That's not sketchy as hell. Like, come talk
You
to
have
me.
no idea.
On the rooftop. Okay. I just want to get out of this room. He seemed really nervous, and a guard went by right. A guard's also on the roof? Okay.
Rampart, the wall
Oh, okay.
around the castle.
Okay, and a guard went by right when he was starting to talk, so he leaned forward and pushed her off.
No, but sexual assault was involved.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
That's awful.
It's like, I'm gonna try to make out with you right now. Meh.
That's creepy. I mean, I hate
It's
him
so
in
bad.
the actual draft, too.
It's so bad. Like, oh my god,
I
it is
love
so
it.
bad.
Great.
And can we just talk for a second about my first person narration? Like, I remembered everything, including what I wore every day.
That's what I love.
It's just like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
It's because you wanted to explain why.
Yeah, okay, so the prologue I wrote after, like, the main story. And I wanted to, like, justify everything that happened, like, describing what they were wearing and things. And it's like,
Me too.
I was still learning the craft.
You were still,
By a
just like
lot.
I was still learning
It's
a lot.
so cringy, though.
God, I wish I could have found Crimson Steps, but it's somewhere.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
So we go from that piece of shit to the actual thing that's actually published, and I'm actually holding an actual copy, and oh my god. Okay, so... Still can't believe how shitty that is. Oh my god, I've come so far.
I just like that she looked in the fire and she was like, that's it.
Yep.
I know what I wore. I know everything.
Yeah.
All the dialogue.
I know exactly what was said by who and how.
And what everything looked like.
But my husband can't be here to explain everything because he has to keep the 4-year-old away.
It's inappropriate for 4
I don't know how. Because I still, to this day, at almost 28 years old, have not written a sex scene. Like, I don't. Anyway. Damn that girl of yours, King Dean spat. He was a heavy-set man with rapidly graying hair, a poor complexion, and a poorer temper. You should never have let her leave the castle grounds this morning. The Queen sat in a daze, a recently drained glass of cordial on the end table next to her. 10 years ago, Queen Aveline would have happily put on every ring she owned simply to slap such words from Dean's mouth. But since her daughter had begun to grow into her womanhood, she had felt less and less interested in the princess's well-being. There was a nagging doubt in the back of the Queen's mind that this was how she wanted to behave, but somehow her husband's voice swayed her to sit quietly by and allow him to make all of the decisions. She knows that you wish her to be here, so she will be, Aveline heard herself say. Perhaps we should keep her in the castle while Prince Brander is here. The nagging doubt in her mind snapped to attention. What? No! Kylara was supposed to be this independent and strong. She said, still not. Yes, perhaps we should, Queen. That's not actually in there. Yes, perhaps we should, Dean said bitterly. Maybe we should restrict her movement regardless of whether we have visitors or not. You know that I do not appreciate those 2 friends of hers, those commoners. You know she is probably with them now, do you not? A small 2-story house stood in a clearing just west of the main city. There were only 3 people who really knew of its existence, which explained the moss that grew on the wooden exterior. Just outside the front door, there was a fairly large porch where a stallion was currently tethered, cropping at what grass he could find through the snow-melt sludge. It had been nearly a month since the last snowstorm, and winter was beginning to thaw. The stallion's owner, a spirited brunette who preferred to be known simply by Kylara rather than her full title, glared at the young man in front of her, Riley Mason. She had been trying to teach him the basic of a waltz, again, for several hours. Her 19th birthday was only a few days away, and her parents, the King and Queen of Willand, insisted on hosting a ball. When she turned 19, she would be eligible for marriage, and her father, it seemed, could not wait to marry her off. Princess Kylara Aurelia Norwood would have preferred to stay right where she was, with her friends in the house that stood in the glade. The princess's other friend, Morella Landvik, was the daughter of the head chef of Emerley Castle. Kylara and Morella had grown up together and remained close in spite of the king's objections. Kylara rolled her storm-blue eyes with a wince and sighed heavily. Riley, will you stop stepping on my feet and start paying attention? Isn't it your job to get out of my way? He snapped, forcing his stringy bangs out of his face. This would be so much easier if I could see what I'm doing, he added under his breath. He had lost his sight as a child and refused to discuss the details of the accident. Well, if you would lead the basic properly, why do I even have to learn how to waltz? It's not like you won't have plenty of other partners to dance with at your birthday. Riley, stop acting like a child, Marilla scolded, walking out of the trees and making her way to the front porch of the Glade house. We talked about this. She sat on the porch's steps and crossed her arms. Riley shook his head. No, you talked. I took a nap. She's just going to backlead anyway. If you would just shut up and learn this, then I wouldn't have to backlead, Kylara said hotly. Maybe, but you'll do it anyway. I can't see what I'm doing, remember? Honestly, it's bad enough that I have to play the gracious hostess for that stupid Hikmati prince without having to beg my friend to learn a simple dance. Kylara pushed Riley away. Hey, Kylara, what time did you want to get back to the castle? Morella called, peering at the clock through the front window. I have to be back by 2, but I wanted to get back early to clean up. Why? Kylara replied suspiciously. Because it's 2:45, Marilla said, already moving to untether Kylara's horse. Kylara stared at her friend for a moment before sprinting across the yard. Do me a favor and try to sort that lump out, she said, hurriedly swinging herself into the saddle. I'm not good at reading out loud.
It's hard.
It is. Where was I? I know it's impossible, but if anyone can manage it, you can. Just go. We'll see you tomorrow if you can't get away before then, Marilla called as Kylara rode off. I'll see you at home, Marilla, Riley sighed, groping for his walking stick. Hold it right there, Riley Mason. You're learning the waltz, she snapped, pulling him into the dance frame. She didn't teach me first for nothing. Captain Tarek Ihab Nijem, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong and I apologize, stared out of the window at the lush forests of Wayland as the lush forests of Wayland rolled by. The carriage was only half an hour away from the capital and his castle. Nejem's master, the crown prince of Rahikmat, and the valet he had brought along sat across from him, both fast asleep. The valet wore ebony pants tucked into highly polished black knee-high boots and a rich, crushed velvet tunic suited for a crown prince in a shade of burgundy that evoked the remembered sight of dried blood. His hair was neatly trimmed close to his head in a surprisingly flattering style that helped to showcase his coffee-toned skin and dark, handsome features. A black silk vest hung from a hook on the wall, waiting to complete the ensemble upon arrival. The prince himself wore the standard dress uniform of a valet, off-white slacks with a matching stiff jacket. Captain Nijem sighed and looked back down at the dossier he was supposed to review on the prince's target when he heard quickly approaching hoofbeats. Prince Brander stirred as Kylara rode past and looked out the window, following her progression along the road. A grin split his face like a filleting knife, and narrowing his dark eyes slightly. As far as he was concerned, he saw a spirited peasant girl adept at horseback riding and pelting past them in the direction of Emmerley. Captain Nejem, I do believe I shall have some fun once this business with the princess is resolved, he said, his grin widening as she disappeared around the next bend in the road. Yes, sire, Captain Nejem replied quietly. If I might be so bold, sir, why bother with this one? She is barely old enough to satisfy you before she passes. She is not that much younger than yourself, Tarek Nejem. Besides, there are plenty of women willing to console a grieving widower, and a royal one at that. Apologies, sire, I only wish to assist you and make the most effective use of your time. You worry too much. You need to relax, Brander sighed. The only place worth campaigning against is Wieland, and thanks to King Dian, I have this place completely under control. Sire, I am concerned. There is nothing to be concerned about, Brander snapped. Be that as it may, you have not used your abilities in quite some time. Even if you focus them solely on your target, there is no guarantee you will be able to maintain your control, Captain Nejem replied. No matter which way you look at it, you could be putting yourself at risk. As long as everything goes smoothly, I shall be perfectly all right. I have Dian's complete cooperation, and I have my top security man with me. Everything will go according to plan. Sire, you already plan on using a puppet. How are you so sure that you will not need to control someone else? The captain replied, indicating the man asleep at Prince Brander's side, wearing the sort of thing a prince wore when about to arrive at someone else's castle. I shall only worry about that if the problem arises, Brander sighed, tiredly adjusting the valet uniform he had gotten tailored for himself. Now, if you would please relax, focus your energy on making yourself presentable or something.
Yay!
So much better!
It brings back all nostalgia.
You're only saying that because you read it for the first time like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I still have a bit of a tendency to use too many adverbs. I fully acknowledge that.
Adverbs are hard.
Yeah. Fucking adverbs. But at least I'm not, like, randomly popping in dead characters for no reason.
We could follow it.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
And I don't have, like, a pissed off teenager going, like, Mom! That's book 3. But, like, oh my god, it's so much better now. It's so much better now. My writing has gotten so much better. Because that... Let's see, I think I wrote that version... Well, I was at DVC, so at some point between fall 2008 and... I was still with my high school boyfriend when I started rewriting it again. So it was at some point between 2008 and 2010. So at this point it's about 8 years ago. I've spent too much time writing. And of course then you read it, gave me notes, and did the editing thing, and now it's there. Yeah. But oh my god, it's so much better.
It's It's interesting, too, how our, like, clarity's better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just like, and then I did this, and you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I do that sometimes, but you can read the coherent scene, so it's not just like,
yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
And, like, for that particular group of scenes, at least, like, you know where everyone is.
Yeah, exactly.
There's less bubble.
Less bubbles.
But there's still, like, yeah. But, yeah, so hopefully this has given you some hope for your own writing and how far you can improve over the years.
You can always improve.
Yeah,
since we're both not satisfied.
Yeah.
With our final one either.
Yeah.
But it's way better.
It's way better. Yeah, no, it's. I think part of our dissatisfaction with our own current writing is that we are perfectionists to a bit.
And it's hard if you're too close to it.
Yeah.
So then when you read it out loud, you're like, oh, this is awkward.
Yeah.
I should have fixed this.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, we're also, like, hypercritical of ourselves. So we're sitting here going, like, I remember how this was. I remember how it is. And I don't like it. And, yeah. No! No! It's so bad.
So good.
No! I mean, granted, it's better than Valley of the Lost was. When, in about 2 days, she was like, I'm totally in love with him. No. No. Never again.
Well, like, the whole premise of mine didn't make any sense either. Come join the people that killed everything for you.
Like, one family member.
Yeah, you'll get revenge that way.
Also, like, you have that many animals, but you only have 2 staff members.
Yeah, why?
Because you didn't mention anyone else.
Why do you have a lion?
Yeah, like, why the fuck do you have a lion? Like, why do you have a caravan for 2 people?
So true. Why a lot more?
Why does the castle have wait staff?
I like that part.
Like, even when I reread that, while I was trying to figure out, like, which old piece to use, like, even I stopped and went, why the fuck is there wait staff?
Maybe you didn't know
no sense.
what to do for servants.
Like, so maybe? And maybe I just didn't want to use the word servants?
You're like, no. Maybe they were really smart.
Wait staff?
And they, like, hired restaurant workers, you know?
But, like, no.
Be charitable.
But then you're just taking staff away from the restaurants. Like, what the actual fuck? Yeah.
I like that your nails match your water bottle.
Oh my god, they do.
A little bit. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they're like...
a little lighter.
They're a little bit lighter, but that was totally unintentional. I literally picked this nail polish because I bought it like 3 years ago and never actually used it.
It looks really nice.
Yeah, that's my back of my ball. But yeah, so that was where our writing was and where it is now. So hopefully that'll give you some idea of how far we've come as writers, and hopefully that'll also give you a little bit of hope for yourself. Because, again, we tend to be very harsh critics for ourselves.
3 years we can laugh at this piece.
Yeah. And with that, I believe we will leave it here for this episode of the Writing Inquisition. I'm Carol Benton.
I'm EmRose Lee.
And we'll see you next time.